There's a reason why some of the knives that you own you just don't enjoy, and here's why. Style. I've heard it said that style is the way ideas and attributes take shape. Style is the tangible aspect of intangible things. And those knives that you don't enjoy, they don't have style. Knives like this knife right here are humble objects, tools formed out of necessity that take on a life of their own. Just like how Excalibur was the key to Arthur's crown and kingdom, knives have always been the key to unlock new frontiers. Regardless if they were on the belt of a Viking raider sailing to new horizons, or tucked snugly in the buckskin leggings of a Mohican warrior chasing down a fresh kill on an ancient game trail. But so many of the modern knives with their high-vis colors and plastic handles and polymer sheaths, they have their place. They just lack the intangible style that is oozing out of the blade we're gonna be using today. We're not only gonna be thumping on one, but two versions of the case in collaboration with Winkler Skinner. This knife was designed by Kevin Holland, who not only served as a US Army Special Operator, but also as a US Navy SEAL. So the heart and soul that goes into this knife is just that intangible style.
Oh, dude, that freaking fillets. Oh my gosh.
That you look for and you want in a tool. And honestly, when I got both of these in my hand, but especially this black walnut handled version, it literally felt like it transported me back to times gone by where you must have a knife on your belt, and that without it, you know, you were naked, and with it, you could not only take care of your family, defend yourself if necessary, put food on the table, get that fire going to keep the homestead warm, you know, and everything in between. And really that thing that you relied on, that you needed, that was a humble tool, but it was just the tool that you used and had memories, you know, from years gone by that it has saved and or helped sustain your life. And so right out of the gate, I got to it with both of these blades. They've both seen equal amount of use, and I've had this for several months now because I really wanted to put these through their paces. And what I found out of the gate was these are so well balanced. With a 5.2 inch blade, this thing weighs 5.7 ounces. So it is extremely light and nimble, but it is not thin. This is a robust blade. Down by the handle at that stock where the jimp is going to be at 0.19, and then it slowly tapers down to that tip being very stabby, precise, but still strong and robust enough with the stabbing task that I did that it could hold up to a lot of that stabbing and that piercing that you may require, particularly from a designer who not only served in multiple branches of the US military, but also I believe was a game warden for the US Forest Service in between those. And so he's had to use knives in all sorts of scenarios, both to defend himself as a utility field knife, but also just, you know, in the backcountry as, you know, a camp knife. And so there's actually an excellent podcast where you can hear an interview with Kevin Holland and Daniel Winkler, and they talk about not only his experiences in the military and also from Daniel, his experiences on how they, you know, became the company that we all know and love in Winkler Knives, but also in just his bladesmithing and just all of that. It's just a very cool podcast. I'll have a link in the description below if you want to listen to that. It's an excellent time, and you get a lot of cool history and stories from the experiences of the designer as well as the maker, at least one side of the maker of this knife. We'll get to the collaboration part in a moment. Guys, if you're enjoying the content in this video and you're new to the channel, or you've been watching for a while and just haven't subscribed, I invite you to subscribe. Make sure to hit that like button, it really does help. And to make sure to hit the bell icon so that you can be notified every week when I post up new videos about new gear and showing how they perform. And for you regular viewers and subscribers here at the channel, thank you so much. Without you, I can't do what I do, and I just appreciate you being a part of the Gideon's Tactical family. Now, both of them came with a little bit of a toothy edge, but I put it on a ceramic rod in about a minute. I had a stupid shaving sharp edge that has yet to fail on me, and I've used it extensively as you're seeing in the video. And that is partly due to the steel that Winkler Knives has been using for a very long time, I think possibly forever. It's 80CRV2. Now 80CRV2 is really interesting. It's also known as Swedish saw steel for saw blades in some Swedish made saws, particularly back in the day, and it is very popular in a lot of European knives. but also for a lot of custom knife makers and blacksmiths, because it's really a special steel. It has a lot of attributes. It's very difficult to find in almost any other type of steel. It's a low alloy, high carbon steel. And since it is a high carbon knife, it is definitely gonna be prone to rust. That's why they usually have coatings on it. This black oxide cast well coating that is on this knife is not only holding up super well, but that's part of the style that goes into it. It honestly makes it look like it's from a couple centuries ago. And just the way it even patinas and just like, I don't know, just wears, it's just so cool, not only out of the box, but then actually pounding and using it extensively. And even though the Rockwell usually is ideal around like 57 to 59 for this type of steel, when you bring up the hardness, usually you lose strength, or if you bring down the hardness, then you gain strength. And for some reason, just the way the molecules and the molecular structure of this steel is, you can bring it up to a good hardness so it holds its edge well, but then has insane toughness, and you don't lose the toughness. And so this is one of the tougher knife steels that you can find, and that's, I think, why so many bladesmiths as well as knife makers like using it. So it is absolutely set up as an excellent belt knife, as a companion blade. Now to the handles, so there's actually a third version that I do not have that has black micarta handle scales. So you have 3 to choose from, and the micarta will have a very similar profile to the wood, but the G10 will be different, and I'm gonna explain how here momentarily. Now I love the graining, the texture, just the feel. There is a little bit of a texture, you know, to that wood handle. Very well machined, rounded. There's no hot spots or sharp portions. Pinned in handle scales for all 3 versions. You got a tubed lanyard hole out the back. Nice little palm swell. Now it fits my large size hands easily. No issues there. I can get real close to that guard. That guard is deep, so you're not gonna accidentally slide up and hurt yourself, regardless if you're doing it in harder stabbing tasks or just in fine, you know, woodworking, but there's plenty of room to spare on the back end. It is a slimmer profile on the handle, even though there is a palm swell. It's gonna be like 0.65 on the maximum thickness there, and then tapering slightly front and back, like a lot of knives would. Now there's a slight hit of jimping right there, about 1 inch in diameter. Now I never engaged it really when I was using the knife, unless I really backed up off the blade and I was holding it kind of back here. Otherwise I'm passing over it there, or I'm just hammer gripping and I'm never touching it. It's an aesthetic piece that a lot of Winkler styles have. The edges are sharp, and I have read some comments that people were complaining that those were a little too sharp for them. You could obviously hit that with a little bit of sandpaper just to round off the edge ever so slightly. I never really engaged with it, so it never became a hotspot or a problem for me. Now with the G10 version, if you're thinking of this more as either a tactical field knife and you're gonna deploy it that way, or you're gonna be using it more as like a hunting knife and it's gonna be around a lot of bodily fluids of animals that you're processing, the G10 definitely would make more sense. It's not gonna be as impacted as micarta or wood would be with the environment around it. Now, it's not gonna be quite as contoured as those other versions because it has these raises and valleys, these hills and valleys. Still rounded on the sides, no issues there, but you know, it just has a little bit more of a grip, a little bit more of a texture to it, and would just be a better tool for some of those environments. And if you're using it more as like a woodscraft knife, something like that, then I would go with the micarta or the wood. Now, nothing can be perfect, right? And I'm a little, for the knife, a little lackluster on the sheath, to be honest with you. There are a lot of good points, but there are a few things I'm just kind of like, I don't understand, or why do we do this? So we have this really slim, thin, nimble knife and this really kind of overbuilt, bulky sheath. So that's a little bit of a downer. I would have liked to see just a slightly less profiled, large sheath would have been nice. Now, we have a giant leather loop. I mean, I think that's like almost 3 inches of leather right there, and wide, so you're definitely gonna be able to get larger belts, you know, through there, and it'll fit on there well. And you can unscrew these with flathead screws, so it's completely ambidextrous. So you can swap it right or left, which is abnormal for most leather sheaths, so that's excellent. Lefties, you can totally rock this, and that's nice to see. Or you can just completely remove that leather altogether, that belt loop, if you're just wanting to slim it down a little bit and maybe you're just gonna carry it mostly in your pack. You know, you aren't planning on putting it on your belt. That is a nice feature as well. Now we have a good seaming all the way around, drainage hole on either side, and a classic kind of style that Winkler Knives is known for. It has Kydex in the center, kind of as a core, and then the leather overmold. So that's really nice to see. So there's gonna be a lot of structure. I mean, I cannot bend or flex this almost at all. So it's gonna be really good and hold up a lot longer than just a basic leather with like a little polymer insert or something like that. When you push it down, it seats pretty well, but if I really shake it, I mean, it will come out because there's no, you know, tension strap around the handle or anything else like that. So it'd be nice to have just a little bit more of a snap. That's hard to do with the leather, or just to have a secondary strap maybe, just for extra security, particularly because of, you know, the cost, and that we're about to hit with competitive options and pricing momentarily, that you're investing in this. You just want it to be super secure. So on your belt, it's gonna be fine, but just kind of take that into consideration, and it would be nice to have a more slimmed down profile overall. Okay, so how about price and relationship? Because probably some of you are, you know, have maybe even thrown down comments already like, well, why don't I just go get a Winkler knife? You know, we've got that Winkler stamp on one side and then the Case logo on the other. And so this is a Case exclusive Winkler made kind of. So this is how the relationship works. That Winkler Knives has basically either signed off, shown all the materials and how to do it to the Case team. The Case team manufactures this in Bradford, Pennsylvania. The Winkler factory is in North Carolina, but it is made to spec on what Winkler Knives has agreed to, and then signed off on it, and obviously put their stamp of approval literally on the tang of the knife for the design. And so that's how this is working, basically to spec Winkler in a profile that you can only get through Case. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And it carries Case's limited lifetime warranty that you can go take a look at over on their website if that's something you're interested in. Do appreciate Case sending me these two models so I can test them out, show you pros, cons, help you determine for yourself what version might make sense, and, you know, just help you guys out and show you just an epic tool. But I want to run in competitive options as well as pricing. Oops, forgot about that. So we'll have links below over to the Case website as well as to my affiliate networks that I regularly partner with. So if these models make sense for you or the competitive options, do appreciate when you use those hyperlinks. Now, the wood and micarta handle versions are about $330, just below that on average. And then the G10 model is about $345, $350 on average. So you're paying about the same price as a Winkler as well. And again, you're just getting a different style than that you can't get on the Winkler website. For competitive options here, real quick, I got a reef knife, F4, USA made, 3V steel, so more rust resistant, better edge retention arguably, and, you know, micarta, or G10 currently, micarta I know is coming soon, leather or Kydex options, all that about the same cost, $330. A little bit smaller, definitely a different vibe, different profile than the Winkler, or the Skinner, designed by someone who has not only served the military, been on over 2,000 you know, missions for the US military, but then all the just the epicness of the profile. So guys, that's my experience. That's my rundown of this blade. It's one of my faves of all time, honestly, just for going back to the beginning of the video, what it does for me, and also the performance, just how it performs and how cool it is doing it. It's just excellent. So I look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts, questions that you may have. I invite you to leave a comment in the comment section below. Check out the other video popping up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.